this particular prompt and we put it to the task. So we've got this prompt, this idea, the recommendation that arts and humanities workers should be paid less. We want to think about it in terms of the recommended template. So we have to paraphrase the issue, and in this case, the student is saying, yeah, actually, you should adjust the pay. It makes sense. And again, you may personally disagree with this, the grader may personally disagree with this, but we're just seeing if the student can effectively argue this side of it. So for paragraph 2, one of the most compelling reasons is to create incentives. So we want society to have the opportunity to expand and grow based on the advances that scientists and economists would be able to pursue if they were paid more. People would want to enter those fields. And then for paragraph 3, we do want to assure people that arts and humanities won't become extinct. That would certainly be a concern, and that's a great way to show that you thought of all sides of the argument. And then don't forget to explicitly state, yes, I understand people would disagree with this. This might not seem fair. Implementation may be difficult. And then you have to refute that and then sort of sum up your final point. And then your conclusion, you cannot do it without a conclusion. You have to have that conclusion. It's got to be there. And again, you can take your 4th and 5th paragraph and put them together into one paragraph, but you got to have something. And you want to reiterate what you were talking about. You want to continue to be very focused and very determined that your side is completely true. You want to have forceful wording, which is something that you can practice. You want to come out saying, this is what is happening. This is the side of the argument that makes sense. And we'll actually go over the top 7 tips. One of the tips is not to refer to yourself. You're the one writing the essay. So we have our sample essay, and like we said, this is a 6 out of 6 essay. Certainly it's not a perfect essay, but there are so many good things about this essay. So go ahead and pause this video and read through the first 3 paragraphs. So now that you've read through the first 3 paragraphs, take a look at the last 2 paragraphs. And what you can do is you can rewind the video if you need to go to the first 3 paragraphs and then come and join us here at the second 2 paragraphs, or the last 2 paragraphs. And what you see is you see a lot of specific reference. There is a lot of specifics going on, from the microchip to here we have STEM learning, mentions polio vaccine. There's a lot to this essay, and the reason why it's so dense and compelling is because the student took the time to put in as much specific relevant evidence as possible. So in terms of the proofreading aspect, the student might go through and see there was punctuation missing. A lot of students will have 2 words in a row by accident when they're typing, so they'll have the word to and then the word to right next to it. You want to get rid of those. Anything that's really going to stand out, you want to just demonstrate that you've actually read through what you wrote. They really like to know that you took the time to proofread, because that also shows that you used your time wisely. In terms of being concise, this one's a tricky one, because as you can see, that essay was really long. That's a 6 out of 6 essay. And like I said, you can get a higher score with a 4-paragraph essay, but 5 paragraphs is better. In terms of concise, they mean don't use unnecessary words. So if you said something was deadly and fatal, well, that just means the same thing. So you want to be careful not to use words that are blatantly redundant. But in terms of writing, you do want to write as much as possible to express yourself. In terms of being forceful, you saw the wording in that sample essay. It was very forceful. That person really thought that he or she was correct. And then in terms of being correct, that has to do more with grammar. It doesn't necessarily have to do with the dates and facts. So for example, it said the microchip was developed in the late 1950s. That's actually true, but if the microchip had been developed in the late 1940s, they're not going to take off points for that. In terms of being correct, that actually has to do with grammar. So you want parallel structure, you want proper punctuation, you want to make sure that everything is written in standard English, and you want to come across as someone who has sentence structure that conveys a person's point rather than just tries to get through the essay. So if you have more sophisticated sentence structure, you can really be that much more forceful. So again, the conciseness is wordiness and redundancy. In terms of excessive qualification, that's an interesting one. That one means when you say it is the best. So the best idea is to, or the worst thing ever, both the word worst and the word ever are unnecessary there. So you don't want to provide a lot of excess words like best, better, worst, never, always, those types of words. Avoiding self-reference is a big one. Because you're the one writing the essay and it's your opinion, whether you truly believe it or you're taking that side of the argument just to make it a better essay, you don't want to say I. In that sample essay, you didn't see the word I at all. You saw our society, but you didn't see the word I. Nope. In terms of open strongly, that has to do with your introduction. So be forceful right from the get-go. And then in terms of avoiding cliches, cliches have to do with things like the grass is always greener, or if you say things like hit the road, certainly would have trouble fitting that into your essay, but you want to avoid anything that are really common phrases. And then be correct, again, is just grammar. It has to do with grammar, not necessarily with facts. So in terms of grammar versus spelling, they definitely look at grammar much more than they would spelling.